I think architecture is for people to use, of course. The way we do it at 3XN is as we put pen to paper, we start thinking about the design. It's always about the user experience. We're only as good as our last project was successful, and that always is centered around the user experience. So it's a focus. It's part of our ethos. We always say architecture shapes behavior. We mean in a positive way, of course. So we can't get away from thinking about how the space, flow, organization, program, how all of those things intertwine and shape experience. You start thinking about how to create spaces where people can interact, and that's a basic human need, is to come together. An example of that would be our Kyoto Tower in Sydney. It's a commercial office building. It's essentially a vertical village. It's a tower composed of 5 blocks, and within each one of those blocks is an atrium. And these atria actually form what we call the social spine of the building. So high-rise designs typically just really efficient floors stacked on top of each other. You don't have the sense of community or belonging to it. You feel like it's just one piece of a bigger element. But with Kyoto Tower, you feel like you belong to a community because you see your colleagues. There's social spaces. The daylight into the space is great with these atria that are cut out. So it creates a sense of community actually by making your colleagues visible and the work that's happening visible. Maybe you're on level 2 of an atrium and you see your colleague down at the base of the atrium in the informal work areas. You go down, have a coffee, chat, share knowledge, or talk about what you need to do on the weekend. There's something quite human about socializing. It's an all-timber structure. The idea with Green Solution House was it's on an island in Bornholm. And typically, if you know anything about the Danish summer, it's about 2 weeks at moments. So they wanted to attract visitors actually year-round. The way they've done that is through sustainable initiatives. But the Green Solution House is a really simple mass timber and CLT project that even uses the offcuts to create furniture within the rooms. And it's a responsible way of designing the buildings. And because it's a sustainable project, it actually works as an attractor as well. So it's not just great for the environment, but it's good for business as well. The 3XN GXN, we always collaborate on all projects. GXN is essentially our in-house sustainability and behavior arm of the office. So they're more than just architects. We have an anthropologist, a psychologist within GXN. We focus on circular economy at GXN, but also behavioral research. And that's important because we design spaces for people, and it's important to understand actually what makes someone thrive in the space, what encourages commingling, how does biophilia interact and create a more positive environment. I don't mean just with landscape, but textures, tones, materiality. So taking the idea of 3XN and GXN, we're more than just someone that designs the building. A building's more than bricks and mortar. It's actually how we interact within that space. And GXN with the behavior side allows us to actually focus, say more, or give a little bit more weight behind our mantra, architecture shapes behavior. We just continue to layer it with meaningful spaces based on quantitative research and information. In order to collaborate successfully, you can't assume you know everything. You have to go into a room, into a project, I don't want to say naive, but open to possibilities. If you go in the room thinking you know everything, then you stop learning. So a collaborative process actually is about lack of hierarchy. 3XN, being a Scandinavian company, we're relatively flat in terms of how we start projects. Everyone has a say, everyone has a voice, and we try to find something positive in every proposal when we start a project. The key to collaboration is having an open mind and knowing that you don't know everything and everyone can contribute in some way, in a small way or a larger way. When you go into it with that mindset, you can't help but be collaborative. You're looking for opportunities to respond to. Most flexible buildings that you could design is something that's high quality, because high quality has a lasting effect. Even if it's a lower budget building, if you're designing around a user experience, it doesn't matter what the cost of construction might be or the materials that you use. It doesn't matter as much, but you're designing around that usable experience or that user experience. And you have to create buildings that are livable and lovable. And if you do that, then you're successful. Yeah, we're doing that now. I think the big challenge now globally is carbon budgeting, reducing our carbon impact. As an industry, we're responsible for 37 to 40% of energy-related carbon, a third of the global waste. The only way that we can reduce that significantly is looking at our embodied carbon or our upfront carbon, and trying to reduce that as drastically as possible. Kyoto Tower is a premium grade office tower in Sydney, but half of it is actually an existing structure where we preserve 2/3 of the existing tower, and then we grafted on new floor plate. So we took a 50-year-old building, and now at the end of that life will be 100 years. So it's about using what you have, leveraging existing assets, trying to reduce your upfront carbon as much as possible. Operational carbon is also important. We've been challenging that in the industry for years, pushing to lower operational carbon. Renewable energy is more accessible now, so that battle is not won, but it's well on its way. So the battle now we have to face to deal with the challenges of the 21st century is actually reducing our carbon footprint through upfront carbon. And I think Kyoto Tower is an exemplar. It shows the world that you can retain existing structure, you can leverage existing assets in a successful way and give a building that was unloved new life.